Kovacic, and I'm a member of the law school faculty at the George Washington University. I'm enormously grateful to Paris Dauphine and to the European University Institute for the honor of participating in the project that's led to the publication of this volume. I can't emphasize enough the role that these two academic policy institutions have played in developing a foundation for effective regulation. I'm going to address a topic that comes out of many of the contributions to the volume, and that is how public policymakers can go about facing the challenges associated with the uniquely complex and difficult policy environment posed in many respects by the development and application of new technologies. My chapter talks about the distinctive role that academic policy hubs, such as Paris Dauphine, such as the EUI, can play in assisting policymakers in formulating good approaches to the modern economic phenomena that they confront. As developed by the contributors to this volume, there's several fundamental challenges that face policymaking institutions today as a result of the development and application of new technologies, especially regarding information services. The first is just the extraordinary multiplicity of regulatory systems across the globe. We have, at a national, regional, and international level, we have an exceptional number of initiatives, some involving ex-ante regulation, some involving the application of traditional competition policy laws, some involving the application of data protection laws that affect the way in which leading technology firms can go about deploying their technology and serving not only the citizens of a single country, but serving in many instances the entire globe. A second challenge is the fact of great substantive policymaking complexity. The solution to individual observed problems no longer resides within a single policy domain, say competition law, but it tends to implicate a number of other policy domains, such as data protection, consumer protection, intellectual property, and others. So that coming up with a good answer to specific regulatory policy problems increasingly involves drawing upon this whole host of disciplines. A third major condition is the fact of exceptional technological dynamism. I'm not going to suggest to you that we live in an era that has absolutely no precedent for this kind of dynamism. Observers in the late 19th century and early 20th century would have pointed to the extraordinary array of transformative technologies involving transportation, communications, finance, for example, that would have affected a whole variety of sectors and did transform economies. I would assert that the modern environment, both in a relative and absolute scale, is more extraordinary, but hardly completely unprecedented. These developments confront agencies with a serious knowledge gap to understand and diagnose specific problems, to design effective solutions, to implement specific policy approaches by choosing the right regulatory tools, and last, to assess the impact of specific regulatory interventions. This is an exceptionally demanding task for individual public authorities that are never going to get the public support by way of appropriations and funding that they need to do these jobs well. So if we assume that governments are not going to apply lavish funding measures to assist public agencies in carrying out these tasks, how are they to carry them out? The suggestion in my chapter is that academic policy hubs, universities, research centers have a vital role to play in supplementing public expenditures that are given to individual competition agencies. That university research hubs, through a collaboration with government regulatory bodies, can do several things that are very valuable to the development of public policy in the modern environment. They can assist in developing theories that help us better understand what's taking place in the marketplace. They can assist us in formulating operational standards that convert theory and assist it in meeting practice by devising practical means that individual agencies can use to take advantage of conceptual insights, and indeed, the insights that come from empirical work. A third major contribution is that the academic institutions tend to be relatively good at comparative study. That's one of the major sources of insight for the work they do. They do a good job of joining up experience in different jurisdictions and offering valuable insights about the way ahead based upon the experience that different jurisdictions have had in experimenting with different projects. A further contribution is to offer insights about policy implementation. Much of this comes from schools of public administration, for example, that have a lot to say about how individual regulatory authorities can go about carrying out tasks individually, but can formulate multinational strategies at a regional or broadly global level to formulate better policy. And a final task that they can assist with is the process of evaluation. We can look at the array of policymaking measures that we observe today as experiments, in many ways as prototypes. When you do experimentation, you need, in many areas of public life, you need a process of evaluating whether it's working. Competition authorities, other regulators can derive, I think, considerable knowledge from the experience that academic hubs have in performing that kind of assessment. That's part of the research agenda that we see in many university departments. Universities can be partners with regulatory authorities in answering the very difficult question about policymaking, which is, does it work? What have been the effects? How can we do it better the next time? Thus, in many respects, academic hubs are well situated to do this. A final contribution I'll mention is to convene events that bring together different disciplines, different regulators, different stakeholders across a wide variety of activity to help build a consensus about good international policy norms, or good norms even at the domestic level. They can be a trusted convener of events that assist the regulators and other stakeholders in the system to form a common view about what the content of policy should be. And in this respect, we see in the work of EUI, Paris-Dauphine, extraordinary contributions in this direction. The Dauphine Club of Regulators is an outstanding example of how an academic institution can convene events that assist the different participants in the system in coming to a common understanding of what is, to understand the positive world as it is, and to come up with normative suggestions about how it can be improved and how potential improvements can be realized in practice. So again, I'm enormously grateful for the opportunity to participate in this volume. I salute the exceptional work that Paris-Dauphine and EUI have done in their own right and in collaborating in this research project. And I look forward to the many great days to come as these and other institutions and regulators realize the full possibilities involved in bringing academic hubs more directly into the policymaking process. Thank you.